Welcome to the Wild and Fierce podcast. We are your hosts, Amber
and Johanna. We're here to explore womanhood through real, raw, and unfiltered conversations.
Please remember this podcast is for education only and not a substitute for medical advice. Always consult your own healthcare professional.
Let's dive in.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Wild and Fierce podcast. So this is kind of a special episode because I'm writing solo today. So for this season, Johanna and I are doing a couple episodes solo to really emphasize our niche and our expertise on a couple of different topics. So today, buckle up, peeps, because this is going to be kind of a brutal episode, but one that I think we all really, really need. So today's episode title is going to be Stop Using Too Busy as Your Health Excuse. So if you're already being like, ooh, that was a little spicy, I know it's probably going to get a little bit worse, but right along with me, guys. Okay, so first I want you to close your eyes and I want you to picture the people that I'm going to start explaining. Maybe this person is you, maybe this is a friend, maybe it's a parent, a colleague, whatever it is, okay? So how many women do you know that can run without peeing their pants? How many people do you know who always choose the elevator because the stairs make them too winded? How many people do you know that describe themselves as weak or fragile? Can you think about people in your head? It might even be you, like I said. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The people that I explained are the majority of moms and even just women in our society. Because you know why? We have accepted that too busy is a good excuse to neglect our health, our wellness, and our fitness. And as a result, we are slowly getting more deconditioned and unhealthy as a society. Okay? The uncomfortable truth is your body didn't choose this. You did. Listen to that again. Your body didn't choose this. You did. We're going to dive really deep into this episode about hard truths and the difference between priorities and not priorities. And I can't tell you how many women tell me their goals and their priorities, which they claim are their health, their fitness, and their wellness, but their habits and what they're doing on a daily basis don't reflect this at all. Okay. Let's go ahead and dive into some myths that I hear often, and we're basically going to debunk them. So these are myths around perfect timing. So if you are considering a health journey, whether that's a fitness journey, a wellness journey, a nutrition journey, wherever you're at, I am willing to bet you have said one of these two things. Well, when blah, blah, blah happens, it'll be the right time. Well, when I make X amount of money, I'll have the money to invest in this. Well, when our vacation is over, when the kids' activities are done, when life's just a little less busy, I will have the time to take care of me, make that doctor's appointment, start exercising, dial in my nutrition, manage my stress. The list goes on and on and on. Okay? But the reality is, we've all been saying this for years. And I'm willing to bet very little has changed for majority of us, okay? Because the reality is there is no perfect time. Life doesn't pause for you to take care of your health and fitness goals. Life is going to just continue lifing. And until we sit down and look at our priorities and say, okay, you know what? Maybe I need to look at our schedule. Is all of these activities really essential for the kids or myself? Can we turn down screen time? Can I spend less time doom scrolling? For any of you that are not watching the video, I have my phone in my hand showing you that. Are the things that you're doing on a daily basis truly lined up with the goals that you have for yourself? If they're not, this is the time to start changing that. Okay? All right. It's not about time. It's about priorities. You make time for what matters to you. Let that sink in. If you don't make time for exercise, the hard truth is it's not as important to you as you think it is. If you don't make time to eat with intention, it's not as important to you as you think it is. If you don't take time to manage your stress, to spend time with your kids, to prioritize your relationship with your spouse, your significant other, it's not as important to you as you might think it is. And that might sound really, really harsh, but it's the truth. Where we put our energy, that's where our priorities are. So if we're not putting energy into what we seem to claim as our priorities, they're probably not actually priorities. And if we want them to be, we need to reevaluate. All right. What the waiting game is costing us. These are kind of wild. So your body is aging right now while you wait. Okay. Just because you're hitting pause and starting doesn't mean that the aging and muscle atrophy is pausing. All of that is still happening. Muscle mass decreases by 3 to 8% per decade after the age of 30. Anyone that's over 30, me, my hand is raised. 3 to 8% per decade. And this is if we're not doing anything proactively. So this is if we're not exercising, not eating well, things like that. Your bone density, your cardiovascular health, your flexibility are all declining while you're being too busy. Another great example is your pelvic floor symptoms. Obviously, that's something that I work with a lot in my business. And I can't tell you how many women come to me and say, oh, well, I'll wait till I'm done having kids. Or, oh, my symptoms aren't bad enough. I'll wait. There's always some if or but. But in reality, the longer we take to do something, the more severe things get. So we have to stop waiting and using busy and life as an excuse for not doing something, people. All right, we're going to talk numbers a little bit here too. So this is something that I really want you guys to focus on and do an honest reflection of your life. If you are someone that says, I am too busy, which I am just as guilty of this as you guys are. So I am not by any means trying to put shame on anyone. I could totally raise my hand for most of these. All right. On average, women spend 2 to 4 hours daily on their phone. Anyone that has an iPhone, I don't know if they do this for Android, but if you have an iPhone, you guys, you can look. I know for me, it pops up every Sunday. It'll tell you your screen time. So I would encourage all of you to pull your phone out right now, hit pause on this podcast, go to your phone and see what your average screen time is. It's probably more than you want to admit. Netflix or just TV binge sessions happen a couple hours a day for most people. Versus, like, what if you took 20 minutes of that time to prioritize to a short workout? Social media scrolling versus meal prepping. I can't tell you how many women tell me, well, I don't have time to meal prep. Okay, well, how much time after the kids go to bed or during their naps are we sitting scrolling on our phone when we could be coming up with meal ideas, meal prepping, what have you? Okay, so there's some hard truths on that. Another one to look at too is your sleep time. So if you look at your day, whether this is the beginning of the day or the end of the day, so morning when you wake up or when you go to bed, could you wake up a little bit earlier so you could have a little bit of movement early in the morning? Could you go to bed maybe even 20 minutes later so you can move a little bit before bedtime? Or maybe your issue isn't exercise. What if your issue is your sleep is terrible? Could you go to bed a little bit earlier so you can get a little bit more sleep? So finding times that we can get creative with the time that we have sleep-wise, whether that's beginning of the day or end of the day. Get creative there. All right. So again, reflect. How is your screen time? How much time do you spend watching TV? Is that one episode that you tell yourself you're going to watch turning into multiple episodes? So you're going to bed way later when you could be spending that time either resting or exercising or dialing in your nutrition. All right. Everybody feeling called out yet? I know I am. Okay. Now we've kind of looked at things that we're doing as women. So our screen time, our phone time, staying up too late, stuff like that. Now I want to go to maybe even a little more controversial area. And this is the kid activity trap that I see all of the time. And I am guilty of this as well. So this is where we overschedule our children out of love, don't get me wrong. We want them to be able to do all of their fun activities, but at an expense of that, we're not having enough time to take care of ourselves, and maybe even potentially we're leading our children to burnout. So do an honest reflection of the amount of time and the number of activities that your kids are doing outside of school. Maybe it's even play dates. Maybe it's not even structured activities. And do we really need to be committing to all of these? Are these absolutely essential? Can we maybe take a couple away so that you have time to prioritize you, to prioritize your family, for your kids to rest and not have as many activities stacked up. I mean, I feel like in society, we almost celebrate the busy. We celebrate the busy moms who's conquering all of the after school activities, that's taking the kids everywhere, that's taxiing, that's eating snacks on the go, that dinner happens at 9:30. Like, what if that wasn't always your reality? Now, I'm not saying your kids shouldn't have activities, but can we dial it back a little bit? So do a reflection of that. I feel like, from myself and from clients, that is one area that we sacrifice too much. And it starts to teach our kids over time that mommies are always going to sacrifice their own health, their own wellness, their own time for the kids. And I can personally say that's not something that when my kids get older, I want them to do. I don't want them to put their own health and wellness aside in order to always prioritize their kids' needs. Now, I don't want you to take that as, oh my gosh, I should never take care of my kids. That's not what I'm saying. But I do think that there is a happy medium between your kids getting the activities they want while also having a balance between, okay, I can still take care of me. We can have rest time as a family. We don't have activities every single day of the week. So take an honest reflection of that, because our kids learn from what they see, not always what we say. So if we're always preaching, we need to take care of our bodies, we need to move, we need to exercise, but we're not doing any of it, we're not modeling any of these things that we're encouraging our kids to do, they're probably not actually learning it. Because if we're modeling self-neglect versus modeling self-care, they're going to learn that that's the norm. So if you want your kids to be taking care of their body when they're older, making, good food choices, managing their stress, prioritizing their sleep, we need to be modeling these things for them, not just preaching it at them, because they're not picking up nearly as much by us preaching as they are us modeling. Okay? And I don't know about you, but if my kids are off doing all of these activities and they're, exercising and doing all these things, I also want to be able to keep up with them for the long haul. And then even beyond my kids, I want to be able to keep up with my grandkids. So if I can model this stuff to my kiddos and truly take care of me, I can then show up as a better version of myself, not only for myself, but for my kids, my partner, my husband, and future grandkids. So something to keep in mind there. All right. Moving along. All right, we're going to go into a little bit of like a science-y part here. We're going to dive into more about like bone density, cardiovascular health, and all that stuff. So I'm sure most of us have heard the phrase, you use it or you lose it. It's become kind of cliche, but it's so true. So as we're all saying, we're too busy to get in the workout. We're too busy to eat well. I'm just going to grab fast food. Oh, man, did stress? Yeah, right. I don't got time for that. Sleep? Oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Like all of these things we've all said. If we don't start taking care of ourselves, you guys, we truly do lose our bone density, our balance, our coordination, our cardiovascular health. Our body's not even thriving anymore. We're merely surviving in this cycle of fight or flight, of high stress, low sleep, not getting in the movement that we need, from strength training to cardiovascular health and aerobic health, all of these things that our body desperately needs. Because our bodies have non-negotiable rules, right? If we're not building muscle, we're losing muscle. If we're not improving cardiovascular health, we're decreasing cardiovascular health. If we're not fueling with good food, our body's going to be running on very low fuel. And what we know from biology, if we're not fueling our body with good food, good hydration, stress management, high quality sleep, we're going to lose muscle and we're going to hold on to fat. So many of the women that I work with will come to me and they'll say, Amber, I feel like I'm doing everything right. And I'm like, okay, well, lay it out for me. What are we doing? Well, I'm working out a few times a week. I'm eating pretty good, but I just can't lose weight. And I'm like, okay, well, let's look at the other factors. Are we getting quality sleep? No, I'm too busy for that. Okay. How's stress? Well, I'm stressed all the time. I don't have time to not be stressed. Okay, well, those factors are huge. Are we even hydrating well? No. And then if I really dig deep and I'm like, okay, what does your nutrition really look like? Half the time it's eating their kids' leftover snacks. It's maybe getting in 1 or 2 workouts per week with very little consistency. You're a lot of the times not actually doing the things that you should be doing to truly see success. So you're spinning your wheels trying to check off these boxes when you're really not even doing them to quality and you're lacking the consistency. So your body's never seeing results. Your body needs consistent actions in order to actually have a transformation. So if you slow down a little bit and took the time to be consistent with, 2 to 3 strength training workouts a week, you focus on walking more, you focus on getting in more protein, eating set meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, not waiting till 12 o'clock to eat. If you could get in bed 15 minutes earlier per night, if you could add in some coping mechanisms for stress, you'd be amazed how much your body would change just from those small things. Like if we want to talk about the greatest way to reduce your risk of osteoporosis and poor aging, and what I mean by poor aging is like increased risk of chronic disease and just feeling weak and not feeling good, it's going to come down to strength training. And that's like the number one thing that women are like, I just don't have time to go to the gym. Okay, well, let's get creative. If we can't make it to the gym, can we get some equipment at home? Probably 90% of my clients work out at home. Most of them don't even go to the gym. So can we find a way to get creative? Can we work out during kids' nap time? Can we incorporate our kids into our workouts? Can we ask our partners or a babysitter or someone to come over and help so you can work out by yourself if that's what you need? Like we have to get more creative and stop using time and I'm busy as a cop-out, because that's simply what it is. It's a cop-out, people. Again, it sounds brutal, but it's the truth. Okay. This was a wild statistic that popped up too that said that muscle atrophy starts within 72 hours of inactivity. So when women message me and they're like, Amber, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that I already feel weaker after a few days of doing nothing. It's like, yeah, you use it or you lose it. So if we think about women that have gone months and months and years without prioritizing themselves, we wonder why back pain and pelvic floor symptoms and hip pain and ankle pain and shoulder, all of this thing and chronic disease and depression, and anxiety, and all these things are through the roof. This is why. Our body keeps score of all of the things that we don't do, and it piles up over time. So, all right. What weakness and fragility actually cost you? Independence in your later years. So if any of you guys have seen those reels of like, I would rather be the oldest person in the gym than the youngest person in the retirement home. That is such a motivator for me. Like I want to be the old grandma that's in the gym lifting the barbell, that can chase my grandkids around, that isn't worried about osteoporosis or breaking my hip if I fall. You also are going to get confidence in your daily life. Energy for the things that you want to do. So the hikes with the family, the vacations. I give the example a lot in my social media about not wanting to be the sideline mom. The mom who can't chase the kids. The mom who doesn't feel comfortable in her swimsuit, so she sits on the sidelines. The mom that can't jump on the trampoline. The mom that sits all the time at the playground because she doesn't have the energy to chase the kids around. Like, what are you saying no to right now that you would so desperately love to say yes to? And use that as your motivator to start taking action. Like literally write down a list. This is something I encourage a lot of my clients to do when they feel like motivation is really low, is I'll tell them to write down their 5 whys. What are your 5 deep whys for why you want to take care of you? And don't go super surface level of like, I want to lose weight, I want to look good. Those can be the starting, but you need to go deeper than that. And maybe that is because I want to be able to say yes to my kiddos. I want to enjoy the family vacation instead of feeling self-conscious. I want to be intimate with my partner and not constantly think, am I going to pee? I don't enjoy how I look. Like my libido's super low. I want that promotion at work, but I don't have the energy or the confidence to go get it. Like pick whatever your why is and go deep and use those as motivators. Okay. You're pregnant and everyone keeps asking, are you ready? But honestly, you don't even know what ready means. Your doctor keeps mentioning your pelvic floor, but doesn't explain what it actually does. Your birth class covers breathing techniques, but you're still confused when to push and when to wait. Your friends share horror stories that leave you more terrified than prepared. Meanwhile, here you are Googling how to write a birth plan at 2 a.m., wondering if you should ask for an epidural or try to go at it natural, and completely overwhelmed by conflicting advice about postpartum recovery. You want to feel confident walking into the delivery room, or maybe a home birth or a birth center. You want to understand what your body needs to be strong for labor. You want a birth plan that's actually useful, not just wishful thinking. And you definitely don't want to be blindsided by what comes after baby arrives. That's exactly why I created my birth prep and postpartum recovery course. This isn't just another generic birth class that treats all women the same. This is a step-by-step guide specifically designed for your female body and your unique birth experience. I'll walk you through exactly how to prepare your pelvic floor and core for birth, not with generic Kegels, but with targeted exercises that actually work. You'll learn how to create a birth plan that's flexible, but also powerful, and how to advocate for yourself when it matters most. Most importantly, you'll discover what postpartum recovery really looks like and how to set yourself up for the strongest comeback possible. Instead of feeling anxious and unprepared, you'll feel confident and empowered. Instead of hoping for the best, you'll know exactly what to expect and how to handle whatever comes your way. For just $79, you get lifetime access to everything you need to prepare for birth and beyond. That's less than what most people spend on baby gear that you'll use for only 6 months. Your birth experience matters, your recovery matters, and most importantly, you matter. Check the show notes for the link to purchase and transform your pregnancy from overwhelming to empowering today. All right, the priority audit is where we're going next. These numbers are wild, you guys. Okay, time versus priority, the brutal truth. You have 168 hours in a week. 168 hours in a week, okay? That's a lot of hours. And how many of you are saying, I'm too busy for XYZ, okay? If you looked at the standard recommendations for health and fitness, so like the basic guidelines of what every adult should do for exercise, you only need about 2 to 4 hours of meaningful exercise per week to meet those guidelines. And I just told you have 168 hours every single week. And you want to tell me that you can't find a measly 2 to 4 hours that you can dedicate to moving your body. And I want to hit pause for 1 second on this and emphasize what I mean by meaningful fitness. Meaningful fitness can look different for anyone, okay? So a lot of times when we think of exercise, we think, well, I have to be in a gym, I have to work out for a certain amount of time, I have to hit a certain amount of calories, I have to be super sweaty, yada, yada, yada. That is so not true. What if meaningful fitness for you was going for a walk every day? What if meaningful exercise was a hike? What if it was a yoga routine? What if it was body weight workouts to start? What if it was dumbbells and bands at home? That's majority of my clients. What if it's slowly building up a home gym at home? What if it's a kickboxing class? What if it's a cycle class? What if it's yada, yada, yada? You guys get the idea. It can look different for anyone. It is just sitting down every day and saying, okay, where within my day am I going to invest my energy and time into taking care of my body physically? Okay? It doesn't have to be this super structured inside a box workout like we seem to get stuck in our head. So get creative. I have multiple clients that work out with their kiddos. I have multiple clients that work out with like newborn babies on them and they're finding time. They have a toddler and a newborn and they're getting the workouts done. So it is absolutely possible. It just has to be a priority and you have to get creative. So this is one, I'll pitch my coaching here because this is why so many of my clients have such good success, is because all of my programs are customized to them. So that's one of the first things we do on their call is, what does your life realistically look like? Do we have spousal support that can help? Do we have a home gym? Do we not? What do we have equipment-wise? What do we realistically have time-wise? How's your kids? How do they nap? What's your baby like? Can we set them down? Can we not set them down? And we build a program that meets them where they are. And I think that's why a lot of women use the busy excuse, is because they've tried other programs and other coaches in the past, or maybe it's a YouTube video or whatever, that doesn't fit their life. So instead of finding something else, or maybe they've tried multiple things and they're just burnt out at this point, they assume, well, it just doesn't work for me. It just doesn't fit into my life, when really they just haven't found the right thing that fits into their life and meets them where they're at. So, okay. Back to the numbers. So the 2 to 4 hours out of the 168 hours per week that I talked about, that's only 1 to 2% of your week that you spend on your body. 1 to 2%, you guys. I think if we can zoom out and look at the numbers from this standpoint, it can be so eye-opening to how little time it really takes and how much wasted time we have on things that are not moving the needle in the right direction. Okay? All right. Got some reflection questions now. So what are you saying yes to that you should be saying no to? I'm going to pause for a second because I really want you guys to think. What are you saying yes to that you should be saying no to? I think this is one of the biggest life-changing things for me in the last few years is learning how to say no, to set boundaries, to honor what my body needs. I always think of the movie like Yes Man, where they say yes to everything, and how powerful it was when they learned to not do that. And I feel like that was me for years. So what could you say no to? Number 2, what would happen if you treated your health appointment like your work meeting? Another example, if you don't work outside the home, how would you treat your health appointment like you would your kid's appointment? Would you ever miss feeding your kids? You're probably like, Amber, no, of course I wouldn't miss feeding my kids. Okay, then why do you miss feeding yourself? Would you ever just never take your child to the doctor if they were having symptoms? No, of course you take your kid to the doctor. Okay, why do you do the same thing to yourself? If your kid really wanted to start a new sport or activity, would you find a way to make it happen? Yeah, I'm willing to bet you probably would. Why don't you do the same thing for yourself? If your kiddo was sleeping terrible all of the time, would you find a way to help them sleep better? I'm willing to bet most of you are nodding your heads. Why don't you do the same thing for yourself? As women, we're so good at putting ourselves on the back burner and celebrating everyone else at the expense of us. Like, why do we do that? We have to stop. If your doctor said you had 6 months to get stronger or face serious consequences, would you find the time? I think that's a really, really powerful thing to think about too, because we very quickly, one day turns into 5 days, and then 5 days turns into 10 days, and then it turns into months and years, and we keep putting things off. But if we had a serious consequence of like, if you don't start right now, this is going to happen, would that be enough of a motivator for you to take action, take care of yourself? This is another kind of brutal way to put it, but like, we only get one body and we only get one life. And we're not guaranteed tomorrow, you guys. Like, what if you did get, God forbid, like a cancer diagnosis tomorrow, or you got in a car accident, or something really bad happened? Would you be happy with the way that you've taken care of yourself and the life that you set yourself up with? If the answer is no, it's time to make a change. Because life does not stop or pause or wait. Your health continues to deteriorate. Your pelvic floor symptoms continue to get worse. The weight number on the scale keeps going up. The muscle keeps going down. The stress keeps going up. The risk of chronic diseases keep going up the longer we hold off taking care of ourselves. So I'd encourage you to sit down and do an honest reflection. Like, are you at a point in your life where you're happy with your health and your life? And if you're not, what steps can you take to start changing that? I don't know what that looks like for all of you, but do an honest reflection of what could you possibly change. All right, here's a couple more. You'll spend 2 hours getting your hair done, or let's say an hour getting your nails done, for example, or an hour getting a massage, some of it a 90-minute massage, but you won't spend 30 minutes moving your body. Ouch. You'll research the perfect vacation, but won't research or find the right professional to help you take care of your health and take care of yourself. You'll invest in your home, your car, your wardrobe, but you won't invest in your health. Like, I think we all need to realize how backwards that is, you guys. And I'm not blaming anyone, because I think this is definitely something we see in society all of the time. We celebrate the new car, the new house, the new clothes, all of these materialistic things, but not very often do we celebrate people that are saying no to some of those things to prioritize their health and their wellness. So let those sink in a little bit. Okay. I've said this once already. I'm going to say it again, though, that we really do have one life and one body, and it's your choice how you take care of that. Okay? There's no do-overs when we're 60, 70, or 80. And you choose now what your life is like then. There was a statistic I heard, I think it was on a podcast, and they were talking about the Alzheimer's that you get at 70 started with choices you make at 30. And I kept giving examples like that, how things that show up later in our life were triggered by things that we did years and years before. So when we keep saying, when this happens, when this happens, when this happens, we're just stacking the blocks against ourselves and putting ourselves at higher risk for negative things to happen later. Every day you wait is a day you cannot get back. All right. Now we're going to do some reframing of common phrases that I hear with women who choose not to move forward with coaching, or that just pop into my DMs, conversations I've had with friends, and ways that we've been able to reframe some of these questions to get them to take action. It's not, do I have time? It's, I'm going to make the time. It's not, how am I choosing to use my life? Oh, I said that backwards. It's how I'm choosing to use my life versus letting life happen to me. So this is more of like the victim card, allowing life to happen to us versus making life happen for us. It's no longer going to be, I'm too busy. This one's brutal. It's not a priority for me. And if you say that to yourself, it's a real big slap in the face to be able to say, you know what? Today, exercising is not a priority to me versus I'm too busy to go get it in. No, if we really want to do something, we will find the way to make it happen. So it's not that I'm too busy, it's that it's not a priority for me. Okay? Or another way to put it is, this isn't important enough to me right now. And then shifting it from, how can I make it something that is important enough for me to make it a priority? Okay? What will this 70-year-old you wish 25, 30, 35, 40-year-old you had done? Just let that process for a second. Do you want to be the woman who can travel, play, and live actively? Or do you want to be the woman that has to say no, who can't lift her grandkids, who can't go on the vacation, who... My husband was at a coffee shop the other day, and there was some 75-year-old women laughing and chatting about how they all went skydiving at 75. Like, how freaking cool is that? Like, do you want to be that woman? Or do you want to be the woman that's stuck in a retirement home that can't do things? The decisions we make now truly impact who we are years from now. Okay? Do you want to be the woman who can do things independently, or the one who needs help with basic tasks because she was too busy to stay strong? Ouch. I told you guys this was going to be a spicy episode. I wasn't kidding. Okay. We're going to wrap this up with a pretty bow on it. So I would challenge all of you guys to get your journal out and start reflecting on some of these very hard questions that I asked you. And then I have a couple things that I would love for you to make as commitments to yourself. So the first one, if you won't prioritize your health now, when will you? Like, when will be the right time? When will be this so-called perfect time? And if you can't think of a number or a date, it probably doesn't exist, and that's your sign that you need to start right now. Okay? Another reflection. Your body is keeping score whether you're paying attention or not. And sometimes I think we've gotten so good at ignoring the symptoms that our body's telling us. Some examples: low back pain, hip pain, inconsistent menstrual cycles, low libido, hair loss, fragile and broken nails, weight gain. So for some women, even excessive weight loss, poor sleep, increased anxiety, increased depression, increased chronic diseases, lab work that's not coming back ideal. All of these signs that your body's giving you that you're just ignoring. So pay attention. The time will pass anyway. Will you be stronger or weaker when it does? All right, my final thought for all of you. Your body doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't wait for your perfect schedule. It responds to what you do, not what you plan to do someday. So the question isn't whether you have time, it's whether you'll choose to make your one and only life count. Dun, dun, dun. All right, guys. I know that was a little bit of a harsh episode, but I think it's one that we all desperately need, myself included, to just remind us that perfect time doesn't exist. Your health isn't waiting. Your health doesn't go on pause waiting for you to take action. The time is now. It's time to start prioritizing you, It's time to reflect on your schedule. What can you say no to? And what can you start saying yes to that's going to make you stronger, fiercer, healthier, and the best possible version of you? All right. If you enjoyed this episode, please go give it a 5-star review. It means the world to us and helps us reach even more women. And we will see you on the next episode.
That's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you for hanging out with us on the Wild and Fierce podcast. If you loved this conversation, we'd be so grateful if you left a review and shared it with a friend who needs to hear this.
And if you really loved it, take a screenshot, share it on your stories, and tag us. We'd love to see it. Until next time, stay wild, stay fierce, and keep owning your journey.